Is it?
Okay. Motion to come out of executive session. Dave?
Yep. Doug, you want to come
Second. Kathy?
Aye.
Joanne?
We did.
Mike?
Aye.
Kendra?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion then to send the salary issue Carol Moore to salary and labor. Doug and Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Carol.
All right, thank you.
Carol, you want these collected or? No, we'll
You
float around.
can.
Good.
It's public record, right?
Yeah. It will be.
Yeah.
It will be.
I don't mean, those are copied around. Okay. Okay, all right.
Get that taken care of now.
Hi, Chris.
Ready? Yeah.
All right, well, good morning. So I'll go with budget first to get you out of here. I know you're busy. So I think you have a copy of the ROE budget, and basically you'll see pretty level funding for next year with the exception of employee raises, I believe at 3%. Really appreciate the collaboration and the support as we work together. We don't have a lot of lines in here. We do have grants that we use to fund a lot of other programs, like the Safe School we'll be talking about today. But I gladly answer any questions you may have regarding our budget.
I got a question for you.
Yep.
Professional services, does that cover the IT support?
No. No, we actually contract outside of the county
Contract out?
for IT services, and we utilize a company that is more northwestern Illinois and have service for not only our office, but the Safe School and the devices that are there. But certainly John and his group have been helpful in regards to if there's issues that we need help with, but we do have our own. That line was actually put in some years ago in regards to annexation, detachment, hearings, petitions. And so to allow for a court stenographer, the dollars were there, was where it was added. But those costs, like the recent Committee at 10 work with Leland and Somonauk, they are incurred by the district or the committee. So we've never really had to use that, but it's there in case it's needed. So
Dave, were you referring to that fee that some of the other funds pay?
I'm sorry?
The IT fee? Or you're talking about like the fee that the other funds pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it his wouldn't apply because his is all general fund.
Thank you.
Motion to approve is sent forward to finance committee approval of the ROE budget.
Okay. Second, Doug? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Kathy, I need you to sign that and then I need everyone else to sign it.
You
Please,
need it signed.
don't lose your sheet because you don't get an
I
extra one this
won't.
afternoon.
thank you. I'll tell you, Stephanie works hard for the county. She was emailing me yesterday when she should be enjoying her time off. We appreciate all your work, Stephanie.
Thank you.
So we have a bunch of information for you today, and I'd like to start with professional development. Each year, unusual throughout the state, but we still continue to hold a county institute day to offer techniques, instructional techniques for teachers and help improve education throughout our region. Chrissy Darm is with us today, and she leads professional development for our office. I'm going to have her come up and talk about this year's success.
Good morning. I'm Chrissy Darm, like Chris said. So it's my job to do a lot of things in the office, but one of the things I do is lead professional development. And our annual event this year was on October 7th. And the theme was shifting focus to a happier, healthier you. And because we start these events, I book speakers January of the year before. We had it scheduled to be completely virtual. And so the event was virtual. We actually record them and keep them on our YouTube channel and make them private to the day, and then they like open like a movie. And the teachers have access to it for 6 months. Because we also had requests for some in-person events. We had some smaller events kind of sprinkled out all over for PE teachers, counselors. We had one on growth mindset. It was kind of like a positive workshop. And so as of today, we had about 950 people that were registered for the event. Last year we had about 1,097. But because the virtual event, the in-person events, obviously you have to come to that day. But the virtual event, the teachers do have access to it for 6 months. So on April 7th, they will lose access. So some of the teachers that chose to attend an in-person event can then attend the virtual event maybe on Christmas break or some other time when they need their hours, because they roughly need about 120 hours in their 5-year cycle to keep their certification current. So I help out with that. The other thing I was here to talk about, if Chris is fine with that, is to address the educator shortage. As you know, everybody talks about that we have a teacher shortage. And so to do that, our office is scheduling some upcoming substitute teacher and paraprofessional open houses where we kind of open up our office. We've got some flyers, and then we advertise to retirees, maybe some college graduates that are in between jobs, that they can come out and be a substitute. So we're holding 2 of those in November, and then we will hold 2 more in January. Our January ones are normally a little more successful because I think we have some December graduates and people just haven't quite found a job yet, and they will come out and sub. And then we will attend 2 career fairs. One is at ISU, and the other one is at Northern, where they have events where all the teachers are looking for jobs. And so we set up a table, and then we represent all 29 of our school districts. We reach out to our districts to say, do you have any openings? And we basically go there and just try to lure people into Starved Rock country to come here to teach. So we have had a little success, mostly local people, but it's worth going. Just for your knowledge, I looked this morning, and there were this morning 63 unfilled positions in our 3 counties, LaSalle, Marshall, and Putnam. And just overall in the job bank for jobs, 3,086 positions currently are open. So in the state. I just searched, and not saying that some of them, I was curious. I thought, I wonder where we are. But so that's a lot of open positions.
Yeah.
So, you have any questions? Yes, sir.
When you say 53 positions, I'm going to be inquisitive when I say this.
63.
Is it for the fact that there is a misunderstanding of commitment in our curriculums as to putting staff in there, or is it because of underpay that people do not want to fill the positions?
Well, those 63 positions, I just did a random search, and I didn't specify. I mean, there are teachers, there's principals, there could even be like a staff support. I think it's all different. Sometimes it's difficult to find a teacher in a certain area, like a specialized, like a chemistry position, or sometimes it's high school English, where they just can't find that right person with that qualification. Now, the state has made it possible to kind of work with some educators if they work to that certification, but sometimes in our rural districts, it's harder to find people that want to live or work in a smaller district. And quite frankly, when we go to places like the ISU job fair, we look for there's certain tables that'll be out there, and it might be a certain school district. Why is there a big line there? And then we look up the starting salary.
Yeah.
And some of the Chicago suburbs, they pay a lot. And those, young people know that. And so they're in line over at that table. So Sometimes it is
So I'm
salary.
glad I asked the
Sometimes.
question and what you.
Sometimes it
explained to me,
is salary.
Reading between the lines, it's salary related. Why the
In
heck would
some
I wanna
positions.
come out in the corn country? And I'm looking at the fact is that
Right.
the quality of our education for our youth, because of, however, not being able to pay a just and fair wage for our educators, our children are being compromised. That's a political comment. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just wanna,
Yes.
I just wanna make sure I know where I'm going.
Right.
But,
No, I've seen where like areas like foreign language,
Mm-hmm.
since we've learned more about virtual training, can classes be combined or are they being combined between schools? One instructor serving multiple schools?
I mean, that certainly could be an option, but it kind of depends where the schools are. I think Ottawa Elementary does that, where they have like certain, don't they, where they kind of hot buildings sometimes, Ryan, could you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, they'll share staff.
But, but you know, when you've got a school here and a school there, just the transportation,
And
Could
so
be an
through the
issue.
virtual, we're working with Matt Seaton at IVCC, as well as I believe there's 10 other entities for this rural grant. And Matt Seaton was successful when he was at Streeter High School to join this group, so he brought that to the entire region. So basically, the grant covers, I want to say 75 to 80% of the technology, make that class able to have kind of an in-person feel with speakers and cameras. Yeah. And then with that, then you have the ability to join other districts to share the teacher and things like that. So especially when you look at Spanish, French, those foreign language classes, there certainly is a need, and hopeful that this year we get the technology in place and do more of that sharing, because you can't find, I think last year there were 2 Spanish teachers that were available through Northern that came out of the program. So it's harder and harder, so how do we better use and share? But that technology will help, and I'm glad that 10 other districts are looking to do that.
Good, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Well, you have the website that you went on this morning?
It was the Illinois Job Bank. And you can link that through our website if you go to www.roe35.org, and it's on one of our drop downs. It's the job bank.
IESC job.
Yeah.
Good. Brian Myersman, Village School Board.
Question is, does this include private school?
Yeah, private schools can post on this as well.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off what Chrissy was talking about with the shortages, and we're also seeing administrator programs aren't putting out as many candidates as they used to. The pool of candidates are growing smaller as well. So we created a mentor program for our new principals in the area. I think we have 7 or 8 new principals in LaSalle County. So we've been working with them since August. We wanted to provide a program that gets them more support, more practical for them, instead of trying to bog them down with more work and things that they need to do. So we hired Randy Goodbread's been working with us part-time. He's from Serena, retired principal, fantastic guy. And what we've been having him do, he's been going around and meeting with our new administrators. We had a meeting to kind of talk about some of the things that they need to know, just giving them the tools and resources that they need to be successful. But on top of that, having Randy go and meet with them in person. And it's been kind of differentiated because some of the new administrators, some of them are brand new. They've never been a principal before. Some have a little bit of experience from other parts of the state. So we've kind of differentiated it to their needs, where some of them meet with him almost weekly, where he goes in and sits down with them, talks about what they're dealing with. Others that are a little more experienced might only need it, maybe monthly or every couple of weeks. But it's been really successful so far with the amount of time he's been able to spend with them, sit in on some different issues, and just trying to keep them supported for what they need, because we want to retain our good administrators that we have in the county. So that's one thing that we've been working on, like along with what Chrissy said, with the educator shortage, trying to keep those administrators that we have as well. So that's been one thing we've been working on, that started the school year. So any questions on that program? Yeah.
I have one. Actually, you chose a great candidate to do that. Randy was a great educator and administrator, so I'm sure he's the asset to your
Yeah, and
system here.
the new people, and they've really welcomed him with open arms, because I think, initially when you had someone coming in, they thought, well, is he here to judge me? Is he here to kind of evaluate me? And it's like, no, that's not the purpose. It's in there, and instantly, when you meet Randy, he's a very engaging, supportive kind man that's just there to help and answer any questions they need. So it's been the perfect person for us to do that.
And then these new administrators, do they come from within the system? They were teachers somewhere in our.
Yes, a good majority of them are. We're teachers, and they've moved up. In a lot of the districts, they'll provide their own mentoring program for teachers, but there's not always something there for administrators. So, and the ones that we've noticed have needed the most support so far are the ones in those small rural districts where, like a Lawson, where you're kind of out on an island by yourself, where if you're someone in like Ottawa Elementary, there's 4 or 5 other administrators you can talk to on a daily basis. So those ones that are, in those smaller districts are the ones that we've really been able to give them a lot of support to, which is great. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So back in June, the county supported a program that's really helping kids. It's the ALOC program, Project Momentum, at our safe school. I want to show you, we created 2 different videos to help as we move with the enrollment of students in these programs. The first one, Project Momentum, it's about 2 minutes. So this is something that school counselors could sit with the family and when they're saying this, our school setting isn't necessarily working for you, but here's another opportunity to kind of put those students at ease to see what this thing looks like. And so I'll play the first one, then I'll get to the next one. Welcome to Project Momentum, an alternative education program brought to you by ROE 35 Academy and your local regional office of education. Located in Peru, Illinois, Project Momentum is a program for 6th through 12th grade students who may have a history of absenteeism due to a variety of reasons, like anxiety, bullying, or simply needing an alternative setting away from a larger, more busy school environment. Students are transported by their home district door to door to our school building. All necessary supplies and technology are provided at the school. Students just need to bring themselves. The school day begins at 8:30 a.m. and students are dismissed at 2 p.m. Breakfast and lunch are provided each day free of charge. In fact, the entire program is free for students and families. Each classroom is supported by a teacher and an aide. We aim for class sizes of 15 students. The average staff to student ratio in Illinois is 17:1, but in our program that ratio is less than 8:1. Project Momentum is run by Principal Jennifer Ferguson and supported by a team of teachers and staff who will evaluate each student's needs, catch them up to where they need to be, and provide them with the tools they need to move forward. Our goal is to take away the stressors of a standard school environment. To achieve that, we allow students the opportunity to work at their own pace. We have unstructured PE without needing to change into gym clothing. And there isn't homework because all work is completed during school hours. If you're interested in learning more, contact the guidance department of your home district to see if Project Momentum is right for you. So with the assistance of the county, our enrollment is through the roof. It truly is. We're at 70 students already at this time of year, and normally that happens after Christmas time. Our program traditionally was for students suspended multiple times or eligible for expulsion, and we've kind of flipped. It's these kids that are anxious, having trouble in school, not caught up, different issues at home. And so through the federal dollars, we're able to fund an additional classroom this year. And then the good news is the dollars flow the year after. By having those students in seats for the state enrollment counts, we'll be able to continue this program for years to come. So just a nice snapshot. I'll send it out to you. So if you want to share that with anybody, you certainly can. But we've shared these with school principals and counselors, and they use them when they have a student who may be eligible, just to kind of put them at ease. And I hope you get that good feel. There's a lot of smiles, and it's not this scary program. It's good people that are willing to work in difficult situations. So,
Chris, do they eventually transition into regular classroom?
yeah, that's the hope. We work on issues that have brought them that program and get them back to the home district so they can, graduate with their peers. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes, they like this program and it better fits them. When they do graduate out of our program, it would be a diploma from whatever the sending school would be. So, yep. Other questions?
Other regions of the state have similar programs.
More in there's fewer ALOP type programs, alternative learning programs, than regional safe schools. So we never, our program, just last year, we began this chance. We had a truancy classroom where we had students that didn't fit in, whatever those reasons were. But now we've got kids that have good attendance, but just are struggling in school. And that's where this alternative learning program has helped us over last year and now this year. But it's fewer throughout the state as far as the regional office running them. There's only a handful, is my understanding.
And then a follow-up question, are all the districts participating, or you see several districts, we want to handle it ourselves?
It varies, and as Ryan indicates, some of the bigger districts have more ability to have a teacher and a classroom of students, but more often the rural district that how do you support a classroom? We're probably a better probably the better program for those. But we do have a lot of students coming from our bigger districts after their traditional programs don't work. That can we try this student with you? So it just varies.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add too, like with COVID, it compounded a lot of the mental health struggles for our students. So I think that's another reason we're seeing the growth in the program, is because a lot of students really struggled when they were home and they didn't have that consistent social emotional support. So it's been a great resource for those kids too.
Hey, Dave.
Kristen, being this is the first year, are you metering it to show if it's successful or not?
Yes, from the standpoint, kids are coming. Not only are they
The
enrolled,
success ratio afterwards is what I'm looking
we will be. We look currently at the attendance, and the attendance has been awesome.
Good.
Which is a good indicator. They come, they feel safe, they feel comfortable. It would be a problem if we had them enrolled and then they just weren't coming to school. I think part of the success for this, our student support people out there, Tyler Am leads that group, but they're kind of the front line saying this student would really succeed. And when we look to enroll a student, that intake has whoever that student support person is walking the building, getting the student comfortable the first time they go, and then doing checkups. So there are a lot of supports, because we just don't want to. We want to make sure that they're in there for a reason, but are we doing what's necessary to get them where they need to go? And so a lot of supports, which is great. Yep.
I'm seeing now, you mentioned 70 that are currently utilizing the safe school environment.
In our
And normally that would start to become a problem after the holiday season,
yes,
where enrollment will go up.
yes.
And is there a situation right now where there's a disconnect between families and the young adults, or those that are in the school environment? Irresponsibility, how do you? So then it becomes the responsibility of our education system to provide for that family environment with our staffing and our truancy department, and it goes on and on and on. Then how many do we have in our truancy department?
So it's 70 total under our roof at
Yeah.
the safe school. So that includes our 2 ALOT classrooms, our truancy classrooms, and then our regional safe school. So that number traditionally, this time of year, we're probably around 50.
Oh my.
So we're well above, and so now we're trying to find, as soon as we get another teacher and an aide, which, so we talked about, they're hard to find, we're looking to open another classroom. So we have a waiting list for schools if they have students wanting to come, because we need to get the next teacher, and then we have one last classroom. After that, we're at capacity, and we're beyond what we've ever served before. So the need is there, it's trying to provide those services.
Well, physical plant, we can adapt and create more.
One more classroom.
But then we meet state requirements and we'd have to find different facility?
We don't have enough space at the,
Oh, the space itself?
at the building, yes.
Wow.
So it's
That's
It's
scary
twofold.
thought.
It's great we've got the students and we're able to serve, but the numbers at this point of year are scary. That after Christmas, we're gonna have an influx and we're not gonna have a place necessary to help serve those kids. So,
This is a cyclical problem then. It seems
Well,
as if over years.
well, our hope though is with the pandemic has created a lot of these issues, but our hope is by throwing as many resources, thoughtful resources with supports, we help these students get back on track so that those numbers come back down. But what we're doing good business. So
This piqued my interest in the fact is, are there other parts of the country or other parts of education that actually go out and reach for the support in the community itself? Community support into providing for parenting skills. I know we don't
that's
have
a great
anything like
question.
that.
Well-
We don't have anything like that. Education, we're more about the youth, the adolescent, the elementary school system to teach, but
we had a parent engagement night
Work with
in
the
Peru
others.
last month. It was the first of our kickoffs with that community partnership grant. And from that, I believe there's 5 other events that have been scheduled or will be scheduled throughout different communities. And we're looking to potentially have about 10 of those this year, maybe another 10. But we've had great success with pulling the different resources together for that night, having parents then see that these are organizations that may help you if you're struggling as a parent. So we're looking to do more because certainly that need is there, and we're finding that the other organizations out there are very receptive to join in and look how we could best work together to fight these things. We're in a great place with that grant and the work, the relationships with the district. So we should be able to do a lot of good this year and next to help with parenting skills, to help, I'm struggling with this. How can I do better as a parent? Doing those types of workshops at night.
I only bring up these, Madam Chair, I only bring up these questions before the fact is that some time ago I was with the University of Illinois Extension Service. And at the beginning of the school year, the service provided for a program where it was community impact and social needs. And I was a participant in that program along with the educators that we had throughout the ROE district. And it talked about all of the stuff that goes on socially within the community, affecting the police department, affecting the social services, the churches, the banking industry. It just went on, and it was very important that the University of Illinois Extension Service picked the ROE office because that was the greatest requirement that, or the group that they could see that would spark the incident and then maybe quell the fire, I guess I'm going to use as an analogy. So is there something like that that could possibly be done again to create as community awareness and
So
invite school
Extension
board
has been
members
great
this
to be
time
able to
instead
do the homeless simulation.
Yeah.
And so I believe we have one scheduled for next year with Institute.
Okay.
So we'll be asking Mike if you want to help out. Chrissy would love to have you or anybody else.
Put your name down.
So,
Oh,
but
even if I'm not around here politically, it's so important in our communities.
so that was a full class last time we did that. Extension has been a great partner to be able to help facilitate that. There are some other organizations that do similar work we're hearing about through SEL, through social emotional learning. And so there certainly is a need. But we're going to continue every couple of years to offer that out to our educators. Yep.
Thank
That's
you, I'm
great.
sorry, take.
No, I always appreciate your support. So I have one other short video for you. The work study program continues, and again, we're doing too good a job with this. So this is a student who is within a year of graduating but drops out for whatever reason. an alternative education program brought to you by ROE 35 Academy, your local regional office of education, and the Business Employment Skills Team. Located in the IVCC Ottawa Center and Graves Hume Public Library in Mendota, Regional Work Study is a high school dropout recovery program for students who wish to return to an academic setting while maintaining employment or dealing with responsibilities at home. Qualified students are referred through their home district. Dr. Jim Carlson, Program Director, works one-on-one with each student to build an academic plan to meet the graduation requirements of their home district as well as program requirements. Regional Work Study offers core courses and electives through Edgenuity, an internet-based curriculum, as well as courses created by the retired educators who staff the program. All of this comes at no cost to the student. Regional Work Study meets 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and students are responsible for their own transportation. This shortened schedule allows students to keep up with their responsibilities while finishing their high school diploma. If you're interested in learning more, contact your high school guidance department to see if Regional Work Study is right for you. So another good problem to have, so you get a little snapshot, you see Martha, a full classroom of students. We had, I believe, 2 or 3 graduates last week because we had a waiting list. We're at capacity, and so now we're able to bring a couple more students in. But Martha, Jim, the rest of the team, they're doing a great job. To the student who kind of gave up, had life take them a different direction, get them back in, do their courses, what's needed, and then they get a diploma from their home district, which is nice. So the hiccup back in, and we have the location at IVCC campus. A lot of times those students see that, well, college isn't this thing that I can't do. And then they may enroll and start programming to better their life. So that's really been a great success. And we'll have end of the year report numbers of how many graduates through, this is funded through the best federal dollars and able to do a lot of cool things for people that have hiccups in their lives. So. But always appreciate your support. I'll send these 2 links to you so you can have them. There's also one, I think, that's very similar to the first one for our SAFE school where the students are expelled or multiply suspended. But glad to answer any questions or take any directives.
Do we have cat litter in the classrooms yet? Where's that?
That's, Chris is going to talk about that. I think she's starting. My answer is no, and Chris would say the same. Doug,
Do you have a handle on if homeschooling has increased since COVID or not?
it has. Yeah. We certainly parents are making different decisions, and our hope, and through student service, we work to make sure, our first, I guess, we would prefer that they are in a school setting, students are. But if students choose, and we have seen great families that do it right when they look to pull their students to do homeschooling, but they have a curriculum and they are providing what's necessary so that child will be successful later in life. One of those things we strongly urge is if a mom or dad is going to pull a child, that they have a discussion with the high school counselor. And so let's say they're in 6th or 7th grade. If homeschooling goes south, what are they going to be doing at home, and will it transfer to get them back in high school and be where they need to be? And so we have those discussions, and we've been successful with that. We know it's an area that you have to kind of be careful with things, but I don't have an issue by advocating that something is being done that's going to be good for kids, and we have those discussions. But the numbers are higher than ever before. Yep. Thank you much.
Okay, thanks, Chris. We'll pay your bills. Okay, motion to pay his bills. Mike, second, Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you much.
Approve report? No?
Hi, Chris.
There's a lot of Chris's.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he was talking about somebody else when he was talking about Chris answering kitty litter questions, so. One of the things that we did over the last 2 months, and I was actually expecting Chris to comment on it, but our staff was able to give a presentation on COVID, monkeypox, and polio to the regional superintendents. We actually started this 2 years ago as a much needed thing, talking about COVID restrictions. So it was nice to be invited this year. It was not an emergency meeting put together at the last minute like it has been the last 2 years. But it was even nicer because it was in person. And we got to see the school administrators who we had been talking to on the phone for the last 2 years, and they got to see us. So it was very nice, and I think it was very well received from every report we got.
Your team did a terrific job, and
Yeah.
you know, that was really the focus program to answer a lot of those questions that administrators may have, but they were very appreciative, so thank you for your work.
Yeah, and the regional Office of Education and the Department of Public Health don't talk to the local health departments or the ROEs before they put out their guidelines. So it's been very interesting the last 2 years just trying to navigate that process. So it was great to actually see everybody and to continue that. So our staff are also working with the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District. This is a sub-grant opportunity that we have taken on, and it's to help our department to identify resources within our community to service what they call RIM populations, which are our refugees and our immigrants and our migrant workers that are in the county. So it's Champaign got the grant through the Illinois Department of Public Health to do this, and then they offered us a significant amount of funding to help investigate what was available in our community. So we're kind of just at that community needs assessment specific to the refugee and migrant populations. Staff also reported that mosquitoes that were collected in Grand Ridge tested positive for West Nile virus. That has been our only West Nile virus activity this year. For those of you that don't know, we routinely test mosquitoes and birds for West Nile virus. This year we were not able to test the birds in-house. We did have to send them off to a laboratory. Normally we are set up that we can actually test the birds in-house so we don't have to wait. But this year with the avian flu that was going on very early in the season, they requested that we not do that. Our staff also hosted our 28th annual food service seminar. This conference hosted 116 restaurant owners, managers, and environmental health professionals from throughout the state. Our health department is actually certified to provide continuing education hours for other environmental health professionals throughout the state. So we do pull in a lot of those professionals. Our staff has started offering our flu vaccines. I think we still have 2 clinics left on the 2 Wednesdays of the month, and then we'll be having additional appointments available in November. We did receive our final approval on our community needs assessment and our I-plan. So the whole process, I think I presented a couple months ago that we had completed our I-plan and community needs assessment. That has to be sent to the Illinois Department of Public Health, and then they have to send us a letter back saying that we're good for another 5 years. So they did approve our community needs assessment. Another thing dealing with their schools is our health educators were very excited. They got to conduct their first in-person educational presentation in the schools, and that was their first since 2019. And they were very impressed. It was a hybrid classroom. And they had a student that was on, or not there in person, but was on an iPad. And so the teacher was walking the iPad around, watching the experiments that they were doing and stuff. So they just were impressed at how much the classrooms had changed and but they were just very happy to be back in person again. In other things, the Illinois Department of Public Health has notified all local health departments in the state just that there is an outbreak of Ebola Sudan in parts of Uganda. And so they've notified all health departments just to be prepared because they could get some migrants coming in or travelers that may have been exposed in Uganda, and then that we would have to monitor them. So we've done this in the past since 2014 when Ebola rears its head or whatever. But it's just, there's always a new disease for us, or a recurrent disease. As far as COVID, in addition to the superintendent's presentation, our staff also distributed over 6,000 antigen testing kits to our long-term care facilities. So this was, the state provided us with the testing kits, and then we were able to push them out to all of our long-term care facilities. And we were also able to provide our homeless shelters with over 400 test kits so that they are prepared. For those of you that don't know, before anyone comes into the homeless shelter, they are required to be tested for COVID just to make sure that they're not bringing it in. And then they also have these tests ready, so in case there's an outbreak, they don't have to wait for us to get them the tests, or they don't have to try and order them. So they just have them staged for testing if they need to. We also began administering the bivalent booster vaccine. So for those of you that don't know, that does contain 2 different Omicron variants in that booster vaccine. We also have placed 9 individuals in alternative housing since July. I bring this up because everybody thinks COVID has gone away. We still have that segment of the population that cannot isolate safely, whether some of these are from the homeless shelters throughout the years, but there's also people that are victims of domestic violence, and they may be staying with family or friends, and suddenly one of their children comes down with COVID and they have to leave, and so they have no place to stay. So through grant funding, currently we are able to pay for a hotel stay for them, and then we work with our community partners, either Salvation Army or the homeless shelter, to make sure they have their necessary needs as far as food and everything. So that part is still there. I know we have worked with EMA and several other community partners, just trying to figure out what happens to that program, because our grant funding is scheduled to go away in December. We also, our COVID cases are going down. That's awesome news. We had a huge summer surge, but to date we've had 34,383 COVID cases and 494 deaths. As far as monkeypox, we did report our first LaSalle County case of monkeypox in September. And through that, we also began giving or offering the JYNNEOS vaccine for anybody who is eligible for that monkeypox vaccine. So that's all I had. If you guys had any questions.
You did mention that there may be a concern, or I've heard, as to an uptick with some types of flu.
I have heard, yeah.
I don't want to scare anybody.
They are definitely concerned this year that flu could be worse. So they monitor Australia. Australia had a very bad flu season this year. And so that usually seems to signal what happens in the United States. So they are very concerned. My non-total professional opinion is that this is our first year that we have not had COVID restrictions. We're not masked. We are seeing upticks in all respiratory viruses just because we're mingling with other people, and we're not as social distanced as we have been the last 2 years. So whether that's above the normal or whether we're just going back to a normal, like we know RSV is going around, and in the kids there's an increase in hospitalizations in children.
And as we did last year, then we'll be using the social media and our local media and Facebook to give an uptick or caution.
Yeah, so we still do our weekly newsletter, and that is still posted on Facebook. I think I saw some comments last week like, oh yeah, the cases are up, because I think we were up 3 cases from the week before, and not statistically important or anything, but so everyone's like, oh, it's going up, we're posting because of the elections. No, we've been posting this all along since May of 2020. I think we've been posting this weekly newsletter. So it is in there. We post those numbers every week. So they're there for everyone to see. So.
I don't know exactly how to ask this. So, the flu on one hand, and we've got COVID on the other hand. Flu's possibly going up, COVID's possibly going down. How does a student or a parent differentiate between the two? Are tests available? Are they free?
Currently, we do offer free COVID testing until our grant goes away in December, and then we have to figure out what we're doing from there. Flu tests have been available for a long period of time, and they were routinely used through a medical provider. We don't provide that testing, but you could also get COVID tested, I think, at every pharmacy and every doctor and every clinic, and, you know, they're just not free. So, and there are some minor differences, but yeah, they have very similar symptoms and stuff. So it's really probably what's going on in the community, but we'll start to see that because the hospitals will run those respiratory panels or they'll run the rapid flu test and we'll know when flu starts circulating, so.
Shameless plug. I've been on the tape of going out politically, and I have visited some establishments, and I always ask some crazy questions, which I have an affinity to do. And I want to extend a thank you to our inspection services that go out and the support that they give our restaurants, that they are very kind and very supportive to all the businesses.
Thank you. We don't hear that
The issues that they may have, so congratulate those guys over there.
I will pass that on because they don't get that.
It can be a difficult environment a lot of times.
Yeah.
And they were very happy about
That's
the
good.
fact that our health department is there first off to provide community safety,
Mhm.
but the diplomacy and the professionalism
That's
that
great.
they exhibit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Flu clinics?
Yes, that's your flu clinic schedule. I did forget to announce, we did get our storage shed, so if anyone, you might not be able to see it through the trailers right now, but we did get our storage shed, so once we get our electricity and everything in there, and then we are partially through the fobbing process of securing our doors and everything, so. Awesome, well, thank you.
Okay, what goes in the storage shed?
That will be supplies from COVID response. Nope, it's all paid for with grant money, it's all public information, COVID response, COVID vaccine, and then emergency preparedness. So those things, some of those things that we can use to make sure we're ready for the next one.
We're still able to provide with the 2 trailers that we out there, opportunity to service our community
Right,
without having difficulty in cold weather. I noticed that there's no ramps for the disabled. I concerned myself with trying to get someone in, or walking in with
Right.
walkers, all that kind of stuff.
right. So the sheds are, one is for testing, one is for vaccine. Both of those grants go away in December, as of right now, unless the
Wonderful,
state
thank you.
extends them. So the vaccines we can very safely do within our department. So once this huge influx from the bivalent and the flu vaccine and all that is over and it gets back to a normal number, we'll probably bring those indoors and the vaccine trailer will go away. We are in discussions of what we're going to do as far as the testing trailer because we cannot safely bring those tests into our department and still protect our staff. So that trailer, at the end of funding, we will have to make a decision whether we're just going to basically, still continue that service to provide those free tests. And it's gonna depend on what COVID does over the next month or two, so. But we also do, as far as the safety with the stairs, we have the information that if you are unable to get up the stairs, just call us and we will come to your car, we'll give you your vaccine in your car, or we'll test you in your car, so. We do make arrangements for people that can't get up and down the stairs.
That's very admirable. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
Do you want me to come to the health department meeting and ask a couple questions? I'm ready. Yeah.
Luann's here, she hears everything that she
Thank you.
hears.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Anything
Thanks,
else?
Chris. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you for your report. And are there any Senate or House bills, Mr. Walsh?
At the present time, they're, depleting all their information in it. It's in an interim change, but there is a scheduled session for November. That's about it right now. And that will depend on what bills show up, what bills come for that presentation. At this point in time, there's no agenda on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else? Motion to adjourn. Mike, second. Joanne, all in favor? Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Okay.